Okay, so in this lesson, we're actually going to go ahead and grab a. We're gonna have to build our dialogues for the other sections, right? So, in the task one, we got that one built up. That one does not have a responsive dialogue, so we want to create a responsive dialogue for our other one. So let's go ahead and look at the one in issues. So let me scroll this down. Issues. This is not plugged in, so let's find issues. So usually what I do, I just click on it. It takes me to that section. This is the main, and this is the main area. I want to get to this table where I have the issues selected. My click events are not responding. Let's see what's going on here. Seems like I can't click inside of this. Hold on. All right, so I'm going to just use the tree view. For whatever reason, I can't click inside this on the main. So on this tree view, we have this issues container. And then this is going to be, so this is the issue container. I think we just copy and paste these. We didn't name these out. So let's go ahead and do our due diligence here. I'm going to just rename this table to issues. And then I'm going to, okay, so now I'm going to rename the items section here. Instead of looking at tasks, this should be looking at the issues list. Okay, so I can't find, it looks like we don't have the issues data card. I'm sorry, SharePoint list here. So let's look at the site. So I'm going to go to edit. Sorry, I kind of lost track of where we left off. So I'm going to edit here. And I love edit on the data source because what this does is pop me over to SharePoint list because it's a SharePoint data source. I'm going to go ahead and click onto site contents, just remind myself where we left off. Okay, so we do have an issues list with fake data, and we do have a team list with fake data. So we just have to bring in teams in the issues list. All right, so here I'm under the data sources. I'm going to add, type in SharePoint as a data type. So once I get SharePoint selected, I'm going to go ahead to my Project Pulse site, and then I want to bring in the issues and the team list. All right, so now that I have that loaded, now I can go to this formula for this table and bring in my issues list and creators, my built-in columns that's still going to be, yeah, everything else remains the same. So I'm going to bring in the issues list, still sort by created date and descending order, and still grab the top 4 issues. So once I have that down, now what I need to do is go and adjust my columns. So I'm gonna actually remove all of these, and what I'm doing is removing all the columns on my table component and then re-adding them in. So I'm making sure that I'm wired up to use the latest columns for the selected data source. So in this scenario, I want to have, let's switch over here. Let me look at this list and refamiliarize myself what's in here. All right, so we have the title. Do I want to display description? Probably not. So I want to do the title. I want to do the status. I want to do the owner. I want to do the priority. So title, status, owner, priority is what I want to bring in. So title, status, owner, priority. Okay. Probably the created date. That's probably always good to kind of get a sense of when it was created. I think that let's start there. We can easily modify these, but this is a good starting point. So let me just collapse these here, and that's going to bring them onto my board, right? And the next thing I want to do, if I don't have already, I want to make sure these widths are for each one of these columns. Make sure you have something in the width. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to default this to 120 just as a good starting point. Actually 140. And that's going to get the adjustment. And then I would go to the individual title and then adjust the width as needed. So for my individual column, So for my title column, I'm going to pop that one out to probably a 240. How is that? Oops, I can't see it. Let's start with a 200. I'll probably have to do it in play mode. Status probably don't need to be a 140. So I'll probably drop that down to a 120 to get more real estate. And if I pop this into play mode, let's see. No, it still didn't adjust for me. Hold on. This is the joy of working with these modern components. You get a little weird items like that where, you make a change, you don't see it right away. You have to like, pop to a different screen, then pop back just to kind of see it adjust. But I think for the most part, that's good. We can fine tune that later. Then the next thing I want to do is update this add button. So let's go to the add button here. Let's just rename this to, and I'm okay leaving these generic. So I just did this add button. And then for this one, I'm going to rename this to section title. And I'm putting a 1 here. And again, these are generic names. So for the add button, if you look at the click event on this one, basically it's going to be the same deal. So instead of, because I want to follow the format that I already established for the task, right? So instead of retyping this, I'm going to just copy, I'm going to swipe this, copy this, go back down to this add button, and then I'm going to just adjust it to where it makes sense for task, right? I mean, for issues. So here for issues, and again, this is why copy and paste is key, because what it would do is force you to take whatever pattern that you set as the foundation on your first one, just adjust the ones to make it unique for your second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth. So here for dialog show, instead of task, I'm going to do issue. Remember how we named these and we purposely put the unique identifier on the end? This is why. Because now I'm just going to the end of these and then just updating my spelling to the thing that makes sense. And this would be default issues here, right? So if you look at this, this is when this add button is clicked, it's going to set this dialog to true. This is to show high dialog. And then I want to track the current item selected. So in this case, it's going to be the current issue. And because it's an add, I'm creating a new one. So I'm using the defaults of that data source, and that's going to create a new record and set it equal to that, right? So that's going to be our pattern. So now I have that set up. What I want to do, I think we're ready for a dialogue. So now let's pressure test or scale test our dialogue. So for a dialogue, this is, again, if I go to this project screen here, collapse all the other noise, this is where we have the dialogue container. I'm going to just go here and copy this, right? Go to the screen and paste it in. And now just rename this to, this is going to be, instead of dialogue main, this is going to be dialogue issues, right? And if I expand this out, notice how my naming convention was generic here. I don't need to go in and rename these, especially because I'm not using it in the formula. So there's my form detail. That's actually my section title, I think, my dialogue title. I think that's a background color. That's my save button, delete button, cancel button. I don't know what these are, right? So now that I have this whole container, I want to set the visibility on this one instead of dialogue task, dialogue issue. And it's already registered because I created or initialized it in this add button. So with all that wired up, if I hold on the Alt key and hit this add button for issues, notice what happens. I get this dialogue. And for the most part, it's a great starting point. I still need to gray out that background. So instead of, that's not unique, right? So this dialogue background right here, that rectangle, we can reuse that. All we have to do is whatever's making this show, right? For my new dialogue issue, I'm going to just go to the rectangle, go to this visibility property, and put an OR. So if any one of these true, show it. And then that would just help me get wired up. Okay, so now that I have this showing, let's go in here and make these unique for my issues. So instead of task detail, I'm going to do issue detail. Instead of, so on my close button here, instead of setting that task to show task false, I'm going to do dialogue show issues false, right? I probably want to copy this because I'm going to reuse it all over the place. I want to make sure this is, I wanted to see the IntelliSense for this. There you go. Because I don't want to misspell it and then inadvertently create another variable that does the same thing. All right, so now if I go to the save button, I'm okay with that staying generic. Just paste that in. Delete button. Oh, we didn't wire that up. We probably should wire that up in this one. and then for issues. So with those changes, right, I don't have a delete. So if I do cancel, it hides it. Again, issue, shows it, hides it, shows it. So this is great. And then for my existing one, make sure I didn't break the existing, hides it, shows it, hides it. So just like that, like I got a dialogue. It's not functional yet, but this is heading in the right direction. Now notice another thing, and I glossed over this. Notice when I go to this save button, you see how it took the relative form detail that came with that copy and paste there. That's a beautiful thing, because all that work we did to get this to, one, show hide, that's table stakes, so that's simple. But our save and delete and all this other good stuff and cancel, all of that is wired up and ready to go. So all we have to do for this form dialog detail here, _1, is to go to the data source, change this to issues, right? Because my data source is issue, and then go to my item property for my form. Instead of doing var cur task, I'm doing var cur for current issue, right? And now I'm getting these red marks here because these fields are related to my task. I need to drop all my fields and re-add them so they're related to my issue, right? So I do that, select the form component, go to edit, and I'm gonna just go ahead and remove all of these. All right, so now that everything's removed, I'm going to add, and now I'm pulling all the columns related and wired up to my issues task. My issues list. So here I'm going to bring in my issues. So I'm going to bring in title, status, project ID. I need that, but that's going to be hidden, right? Priority, owner, maybe attachments. We allow them to add attachments. So let's do the attachments. Attachments here. And description. All right, I think that's it. So let's go ahead and add these to the collection. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna collapse all, and now I'm gonna position these in the right order. So I probably want to do title, priority, and we can always adjust these, right? I just want to get close. Project ID, I want that last. Again, any field that you're bringing, because in order to save this, I have to bring it on the board, right? But I'm going to hide it because I don't want the user to interact with it. Like I'm setting this in the background, and I don't want the user to interact with it. So and it will mess up your grid system if you have one of these in the middle that's hidden. And when I say mess up your grid system, basically what happens is that we're going to change this column layout probably to like a 3, right? And if you start to move things around, or if you're trying to like have like a column span across like 3 columns, like your imaginary 3-column grid system, if a hidden field is in the way, it won't act the way you want it to expect. So rule of thumb to avoid that, and if I run into that, I'll highlight, like I'll show it again. It's kind of hard to explain, what happens when it happens. But when I run into that, I will show you. But rule of thumb, anything field that you plan to hide, push it all the way at the bottom of the list. And when you add new ones, make sure the hidden ones are at the bottom, and then you just adjust these. So it will just save you a ton of headache. Trust me. Ask me how I know. All right, so here I'm going to put description on top of attachments and just flow from there. Okay, so I think we're a good starting point. So here for this seems like it's a single column, so I'm going to just touch this. I think we actually want to go 3. And this is going to snap to a 3. Yeah, I really want to adjust it to a responsive design, but I'm going to wait on that. Actually, now that I look at this, I think I'm going to go with a 2-column layout. Now that I look at it. All right, so I'm going to do a 2-column layout, and I'm going to make description and attachment have their own row. Description, because this is a multi-edit field, I'm going to select this, go to description, and make sure that my edit is for multi-line text. So I'm going to switch that control type there. All right, outside of that, to make these wide, this is the same trick we used before. So I'm going to just go to my width property and set this to parent.width. And that's going to force that to expand. And I'm going to do the same thing for my attachment, parent.with, right? And that's going to give me that column layout, right? And then for my project ID, I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to just turn the visibility to that off, right? And just like that, I mean, we're rocking and rolling. And this is not going to save yet, right? So let's set some required properties here. So I'm going to go to, I'm selecting the data card, going to required, and then I need to turn this to true. So, but because this is one of those properties, you have to unlock it to set. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock title. Priority, I want required. Owner, I don't want required. Status, I don't want required. Everything else is optional, but these two I want required. So for this, title, just turn this to true. Again, this is set at the data card level. For priority, set this to true. All right, so we're going to make those two required. And that's important, right? Because now when I go to my save button, remember my save button, if you look at the display mode, it's disabled unless the form detail is valid. And that's wired up and we don't have to touch it. You see how this kind of flows with your copy and paste? If you're wired up right, and if you're using the right components to get the job done, you should be able to crank these out in matters of minutes, right? We don't have anything for the delete. Our click event for our save, I want to say this one is passed through as well. Pass through meaning like there's nothing to touch. We already updated our dialog variable. And let's look at the cancel. This looks good. Now, one thing I like to do with the cancel is to reset my form. In the event they started to fill the form out and they click cancel, you want to erase all that stuff that they started to fill out, right? And because they didn't save it. So here I'm gonna do a reset form. And I'm going to set that to my form dialog details _1, right? And you could, if you're not comfortable with this underscore, because I'm using this generic name, feel free to add, put issues on the end of this, put rename these, like do what's comfortable and that satisfy your OCD, because I do a lot of stuff that satisfy my OCD, right? And just gone this way, and that's just make it like, I don't know. I'm itching to rename this because I'm using this in the formula, and that's like the rule of thumb. If you use this in the formula, rename it. But for the sake of this video, I'm skipping that step. But just understand what I'm doing here. Okay. I feel like this is ready for save. Like I feel like this is functional. Let's double check. So if I go X here. Add button is doing what is needed. Oh yeah, let's just do this in play mode. Let's see what happens. All right, so here, if I scroll down to issues, click on add. Let's say the web part is not working, right? And what's the priority there? So the priority is high. The owner, see our numbers, so we have to make an adjustment there. The status is active, and here's the default description. Okay, and then I get down to my attachments. This is where I can attach a screenshot, and then I'm just select that generic web part error, right, and save it. And there you go, right there in my issues list. The first one saved. I didn't do the owner priority. If I double click on this, that's one we didn't do. We didn't do our double click. Right, viewing existing items. So we have to wire that up for issues. So that was one that we missed. Let's just try another one. So let's just make sure this is working as expected. Notice, see, this is why you reset your form. I filled this out, and now I'm about to create a new form, and it saved all my existing data. So let's do that. Let's solve for that. I feel like this form is going to be, this dialogue scenario is going to be a lot further along than the one that we copied, because these should have been in my copy one. Right, so here's my submit form here. Let's go ahead and reset the form. So again, form dialog details _1. So that's going to go ahead and reset that. But let's not let sample data go to waste. So let's put a 23 here. Change the priority to medium. change. Let me just select a number here. I think it still saves the person name, right? And then hit save. Yeah, so that's Raju. I couldn't see it because there's a name. Okay, so we got a couple of things that this is working. This is beautiful. Now, if I go to add, my reset did what it needed to do. My save is disabled, and the delete is not wired up. So let's do a couple of things. One, let's solve for our table click event. So if I go, let me see. This is actually annoying why this is not working. I think I need to, I don't know why this is not working. I think I need to restart. All right. No, that didn't help me at all. All right, so I got issue selected. So this is going to snap me here. On this table here, if I go to on select for the table itself, oh, we didn't wire this up. Ugh. All right, so our issues are going to be like our gold copy. Like all of this should have been done in tasks. I think because we ran into that issue and that kind of threw me off. I don't think I wired this up completely. Okay, so let's go to table issue. So here's the deal. The best way to do this is copy what you already have for the add button. Now go to your table and go to on select. And basically what we're doing is that we're actually doing the exact same thing. We want to show when a user double clicks on a row within the table, this is our table component is wired up to know the selected row, and it loads that into this item, right? So we still want to show the dialogue, so we set that to true, but we want to set the current issue instead of a brand new one. We want to select set it to self dot this item or dot selected, right? The selected item, right? So that's what happens. So this component is smart enough that if it has a row, if the user double clicks on the row, I think it's double or single click, whatever it is, they click on the row, it will take that item, that whole record, and load it into the selected property for the table component. So doing a self, meaning that the current table or self like me, dot selected gives us access to the selected item, right? So now if we hit the play button, and if I go down to issues, and if I double click this brings it up. And if I hit cancel and click on another one, it brings it up. It's a beautiful thing. Like you get just that two lines of code, we're wired up. Like we got full CRUD operation right now. No, actually we don't, because we didn't wire up our delete. All right, so let's do let's fix the numbers on our owner, right? So we want to see the actual people. So let's go here, let's keep this selected, select owner here. This one you have to select the actual component, right? So one click is the data card. The second click would be the component within the data card. Looks like this guy probably needs to be hit edit here, hit add, and we want to look at the display name. So we get that going. The other thing is all of our text boxes and multi-line text boxes, this is where we have to make sure that our focus out, we want to do delayed, right, for that. Oh yeah, and then for title, we want to do delayed for that, right? Again, this is a modern component, and with those modern components, this is the issue that we ran into where it wasn't saving, right? Or saving our changes that we learned in a previous video. So anytime you have a single line text, change this trigger output to delay. For multi-line text, change the trigger output to delay. We replace this whole thing in the classic. If we run into issues when we test, we would go back and do that. So we know how to fix it. I'm just not going to keep swapping it out for the sake of this video. And hopefully, fingers crossed, in the future update, Microsoft fixes this and it's not an issue anymore. All right, so that's how we fix the numbers for owner from number to display. So we're good there. All right, so let's test this and then let's tackle our delete. So here I'm gonna go cancel. Let's do this. Change this to all fours. Hit save. It changes all fours. Go here, select tie for this one, make this in progress. Let's say this is awesome, but the contract, this is our sample data that we got brought in. If you didn't watch that video yet, this is the sample data that we bring in from our from AI. I did a whole video on that, so if you missed that, go back to that lesson. Okay, so now we're good. We probably want to show when we have attachments on this issues list. So let's go back and do that. So let's go to issues. Let's go to this issue table. No, I can't select this, and it's driving me crazy. So I have to manually find it. Okay, so here's the issue table here. Let's hit edit, add attachment. I think you just bring in that whole component, and it's smart enough to show a or maybe it's not smart at all. Oh, there it is. Ooh, that's ugly. I thought you were going to show me the paperclip if it had attachments. I feel like that's what you did before. Why are you different now? Interesting. Has attachment. Let's see what this does. And what I'm doing, I'm just taking the out of the box behavior. Like I'm not trying to customize this at all. And it looks like you can't customize this. So let's get rid of this. And what I'm trying to do is just show in the table if an item has an attachment or not. Some type. Oh, there we go. So it has an attachment. Yes. Why does this feel like you can change that? I don't want them to turn this off, right? Oh, okay. Oh, it's a read only. That's just a weird way to display that, isn't it? That's odd. And I still need to put a minimum in there. Yeah, I probably want to put a minimum width on there. That's odd to have that toggle like that. Maybe like a check mark or something, but anyway. All right, I'm not going too much. I mean, we can fine tune that later. Okay, so delete. Okay, let's do that. Let's do delete. So here, for the delete, it should be really, really straightforward. So we go into this button here. This is our delete button. And basically what you want to say is remove if, right? So you remove from our issues list if the ID equals the selected item ID. So here I'm going to do table issues dot selected dot ID, right? And that's how you do it. Now, normally you will want to put a confirmation in here. Just so that it's clear that the user is about to delete data, because you can't undo this. So you want to have them confirm it. Yeah, let's do that, because I don't even want to show this option without that. Like this will actually delete it now, but you want to pop open a dialog box. So actually what this would do, let me comment this out. I'm going to introduce another variable, right? So we have, let me expand this out a little bit. Basically, we want to set a variable. So let's see, var dialog show issue. I want to create a new one. Call it var dialog show delete issue, right? And you want to set that to true, right? So now, let's just copy this. We got to create another dialogue experience. It's not horrible. It's not horrible, but it's one of those things we have to do. So to create a dialogue experience, now I'm struggling where the best place to put this, right? So I have my dialogue issues here. I have my dialogue main, and then I have my background rectangle. Yeah. No, I'm trying to think how I had this nested before. I'm redesigning this as we speak, actually. Okay, got it. So because what I'm gonna do an inner dialogue on this. I'm gonna do a dialogue within the dialogue, right? So here I'm gonna create another container. Let's just bring another container in, and we're going to call this one delete item, delete confirm, right? We're going to call this delete confirm. With delete confirm, this only shows if this is true, right? That's my dialog delete issue. And we need another rectangle to black out this, right? So let's do another rectangle. Actually, I can copy one of these existing. Where's this rectangle? Which one is this? Right. So with this one, have it 0, 0 and have it full out, right? Our delete confirm should sit on top of this. So change the order to front and then change the background color to white. Interesting. There's no color. Oh yeah, there's a fill color, right? Fill white. Why is it white? It's not white though. Okay. All right, so there's a couple of formulas I want to put on this. So in this rectangle, the width, this is going to be the same width as the parent because I want it to go side to side, right? And then the height, this is going to be the same height. Again, this is my background color for my delete confirmation. So parent.height, and this is going to take on the height of the dialog issues container, right? This should be black with a transparent color, right? Something like that. And then this is where we have to do our other trick because we're dealing with a rectangle, right? So our disable color, just set this to self.fill, or else you get that flicker every time you mouse over it. And you can just do the hover color, but I'm just doing all of these, you know, because it's just easy. All right, so everybody's going to get that. My container though, why in the world is this not changing colors? What if I want to change it to this? It's not changing colors. Is that because, no, it's not changing colors, like at all. Dang it, that sucks. I guess we have to do another rectangle inside of that. That doesn't feel right though. Oh, the visibility is off. Gotcha. I was wondering, I was like, why in the world is this thing not changing colors? So we don't need this. You don't need this in there rectangle. So let's delete that. I was even changing the background color to my background. I was like, why is this thing not working? All right, so let's just black this out, right? And then go to here. Instead of having this logic to show or hide, let's comment this out for now. And let's hard code it to true. There we go. And let's go ahead and design this. This is very, very simple, right? All you need is a text label to say, are you sure you want to delete this, right? And then you drop in 2 buttons. So let me just grab this button here. Actually, let's copy and paste these buttons. So let me copy this one, paste this here. So that's my cancel, and then copy my save and paste this here. Okay. So here we're just going to tell, let's zoom in so we can see this. I'm eyeballing on how to position these out. Right. And then this one, you want to center this text. So that way we can center the dialog box. And then we want to probably put this at a 16. I'm okay with this. Center the alignment on this one though. So alignment is at the start, you have that center. Reposition this until you feel like it's centered. I don't see my guiding buttons that centers it. I'm gonna go to the top with this. And then basically I'm gonna say, are you sure you want to delete? I'm gonna keep it generic. Are you sure you want to delete this item? Right? Because that way I can reuse this text, and when I do my copy and paste game, I'm not chasing my tail with updating all these little nuances, right? So here, yes, delete, and then this one it would be cancel. So our cancel, really straightforward. So again, we copy that button, so we kind of get a bunch of this other stuff for free, which we don't want. So for cancel, we're going to do var dialog. I don't know the name of it. So var, I'm going to let IntelliSense help me. Dialog, delete issue, set that to false. And then if it's yes, this is where you do, I'm going to still set this to false once it deletes it, but this is where you do your remove if. Right, so I'm going to do a remove if, and then this is my issues list, and then I'm gonna do it by ID. So if the ID in the SharePoint list equals to, oh, look at IntelliSense helping me out. This is beautiful. Table issue selected ID, and then close paren, right? So if you say you want to delete it, this will actually delete it. If you say, nope, I don't want to delete it, this is going to cancel it. So now, instead of having this hard-coded on, let's do dialog show delete. We also want our rectangle, we go to visible here. And then this one should only respond to dialog, no, var dialog, show delete, issue, right? So now if you look at this in play mode, web part is it's not working. Go to delete. Are you sure you want to delete this item? Yes, delete. Or cancel, not delete it. Are you sure you want to delete this item? Yes, delete. And it deletes it, I think. It did something. Yeah, so it deleted. Okay, so that delete needs to do more, right? So if you say delete, not only should it close this down, it should actually close this down as well, right? So we need a double close on that one, right? Because that whole item's gone. So why are we staying on that form? So to do that, let's look at the click event for our save button. This is the variable that kills the entire dialog. So hold on, Alt key, hit delete. Go to this one. Instead of deleting, in addition to deleting that small dialog, we need to close that small dialog. We also need to close the large dialog. So that's going to give us that. So now if I go into this and hit cancel, this is 44. So go to delete, hit yep, delete. 44 is gone off the list, and you back on the grid. This feels natural. This feels natural to me, right? Yeah. All right, so that's how you do your delete. So let's just let's add this one. Let's just make sure it works. Deshaun 123 issue. Set the priority. Set the owner. Set Ricardo is the owner for that one. Set resolve. Fill this out. Give me an attachment here. Add the attachment. Boom, 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 boom. Save it off. All right, so there's my issue. Now I want to go and delete it. Hit delete, say yes, boom, gone. Full CRUD, just like that. Boom, 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 boom. Only because you wired right, you got a good architecture design, and we ready to rock and roll. Okay, so now in the next video, I'm gonna jump over to meetings, right? So we're gonna set up our meetings, sneak peek of what that will look like. All right, so this is, so if you're looking at a wireframe, this is what our meetings is going to look like. So we're going to have, again, this is the same, it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. Meetings tab. Oh, this is where we're going to do tabs. Okay, so we're going to jump ahead. So we're working on details, right? And we have that grid system, and right there in that multi-grid system, we're allowing the user, right, to update these individually. Go ahead and do your team, right? Copy and paste and do your team. I feel like we did way more on the issues than what we did in task. So I probably would delete my task dialog, copy this, and then update everything for the task to work, right? So that'll be a great exercise. So now that we walk through the process of setting the data source for issues, getting this wired up, getting our click event wired up, getting our full CRUD operation, create, read, update, delete. You know, I use the acronym CRUD. Get our full CRUD operation working for that. Now you know how to do it on your own. Go ahead and get that working for team, right? Okay, so now For our meetings in the next one, we're going to define this tab experience at the top, which is our top navigation, right? And you see that here. So they did like old school tabs. We're going to do more of the modern look with this, right? And this is what Microsoft uses in Microsoft 365 a lot. And we're going to hydrate. So we're going to define how you get through these different experiences and focus on meetings, set up our grid system here, set up our add button, which is really, really straightforward. But then we're going to get into some AI. And that's why I want to fast forward to meetings, because with the AI, we're going to take a meeting transcript, upload it as a file. It's going to run a Power Automate, extract the text from that meeting transcript, save it to a SharePoint list, then run that transcript through AI, and then AI will respond back with, based on the transcript, the title of the meeting. We'll figure out who we trust with the date, the category of the meeting, the length of the meeting, and the meeting notes. And the meeting notes is going to be defined. I don't know if I define it here, but the meeting notes are going to be defined as executive summary, key items discussed, key takeaway items, and any task and any follow-up items, right? So that'll probably be like a 2 or 3 lesson video to get through all of that, because we're going to get through prompt engineering. We're going to get through calling OpenAI. As of to date, September of 2024, we're going to call the 4.0 or 4 Omni GPT within Azure OpenAI Studio to get through these smarts, right? Okay, so we got a lot to unpack. We're actually about to get to the nitty gritty of it. And I think once we get past the OpenAI piece, if I'm looking at this wireframe, I want to say you're going to have everything you need to crank out these other items, right? I think you're going to have everything you need to crank out these other items. Now, we have this thing called Insights, and let's talk through that, because what Insights is, this is AI running in the background against your data and coming up with some interesting points about your data. And with these insights, these are going to be like small cards to where it says, oh, did you know this? It's almost like a did you know, and it's going to highlight those. So you can click on that, you can get information, then you can hit regenerate to where you tell it to, reevaluate something, or maybe you ask it a question, you can chat against your data, so on and so forth. So that's going to be almost similar to what you can do with a Copilot, but we're going to build this manually within Power Apps and AI. So I think this class is about to get interesting, but I had to go through those previous lessons to level set on how we design this, how we handle our navigation strategy, and how we set up basic CRUD operations in a very good, repeatable pattern. And now we're going to get into the AI pieces of it. So see you in the next video.